with us over the phone Dr. Mohamed Ezaby. He's an international relations expert. Good morning, Dr. Mohamed.
Good morning, Abir.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us on ITV International. I would like to ask you about the news of Cairo winning this prize. What are the main reasons behind choosing Cairo as one of the best student cities?
Well, Cairo's position reflects a combination of academic depth, cultural diversity, affordability, and strategic geographical location.
Yeah.
The Egyptian capital is not simply a city with a large number of universities. It is one of the oldest intellectual and cultural centers in the region. Institutions such as Al-Azhar University, Ain Shams, American University in Cairo provide students with diverse educational opportunities and different academic environments.
Yes.
Affordability is also a major factor compared with many major educational hubs in the United States and Europe. Cairo offers international students a relatively lower cost of living while providing access to a remarkably rich culture and historic environment. So Cairo's ranking is not merely about universities, it reflects the emergence of the Egyptian capital as a multi-dimensional international educational hub.
Yeah. Dr. Ezaby, we move now to The Guardian, where we read Trump threatens to declare Strait of Hormuz territory of the United States. American President Donald Trump has threatened to declare the Strait of Hormuz as a territory for the United States as his administration struggles to conclude the war with Iran. During a speech at a police academy on Long Island, New York, Trump said he would pretty soon designate the waterway a crucial checkpoint for global trade, through which about a fifth of the world's seaborne oil supplies typically pass U.S. territory. The command came as peace talks with Iran remain at an impasse following failed negotiations with Tehran refusing the reopening of the strait, which has been all but closed since the war started. Almost 6 months into the war, there is little indication that negotiations will soon yield peace as Iranian officials continue to defy Trump demands. Dr. Ezaby, how do you read this statement by American President Donald Trump, and does the recent statement signal a new policy position for his administration?
Well, if taken literally, the statement would represent a highly conceptual, highly development because the Strait of Hormuz is an international maritime choke point of enormous importance to global energy markets.
Yeah.
However, we need to distinguish between political rhetoric and an actual strategic policy decision. President Trump has frequently used highly assertive language as a negotiating instrument, particularly when attempting to increase pressure on an adversary. Therefore, the statement may be a part of a broader cohesive bargaining strategy rather than an immediate indication of a formal American attempt to change the legal states of the Hormuz. But if such rhetoric were transformed into an official policy, the consequences would be much wider than the U.S.-Iran confrontation. It could trigger a major legal, diplomatic, and potentially military crisis over the freedom of navigation and the international maritime law.
Dr. Ezaby, we'll move now to Anadolu Agency. We read more regional news. Houthi attacks halt operations at Yemen's Mocha port, caused $16 million in damage. Port director says repeated missile drone attacks killed 7, halted commercial activity, left 1,300 workers without income. Repeated Houthi missiles and drone attacks have forced the suspension of commercial commercial and maritime operations at Yemen's Mokka port, causing an estimated $16 million in damage. Port director told a news conference in the Red Sea port city that the attacks killed 7 people, including 4 security personnel and 3 port employees. According to Yemen's state-run Saba news agency, he said the port in southwestern Taiz province near the Bab el-Mandab Strait had been struck by more than 25 missiles since August the 9th in what he described as the first attacks on the facility since 2022 truce between the Yemeni government and the Houthis. Dr. Ezaby, tell us more about your assessment of the recent developments in Yemen and their expected repercussions.
Well, the developments surrounding the port of Mocha demonstrate that the Yemeni conflict is no longer simply a domestic Yemeni crisis.
Yeah.
It has become an integral part of a broader security architecture of the Red Sea. Mocha is strategically important because of its proximity to the Bab el-Mandab Strait. Therefore, attacks against the port have consequences that extend beyond the military operation. They affect commercial activity, employment, infrastructure, maritime security, and ultimately regional trade. The broader concern is to cumulative effect of attacks on ports and maritime infrastructure. When shipping companies perceive the Red Sea as increasingly dangerous, they recess their routes that can lead to longer voyages, higher insurance premiums, higher transport costs, and disruption to global supply chains.
Yeah.
So the chain reaction is very clear. Security threats, insurance costs, shipping costs, disruption, pressure on global commodity prices, and from an Egyptian perspective, the issue is particularly significant because the security of the Red Sea is directly connected to the security of the Suez Canal and Egypt's position within global maritime trade.
Yeah, of course. We move now to Al-Ahram Online, where we read a magnitude 7.7 earthquake strikes off Indonesia's coast, killing at least 47 people. A powerful magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck off the coast of Indonesia early on Saturday, killing at least 47 people, collapsing buildings and causing panic in a region prone to deadly quakes. Authorities said dozens more residents were injured and warned that the death toll would almost certainly rise. Authorities issued a tsunami warning also and urged coastal residents to move to higher ground, but later lifted it after Indonesia's meteorological agency said monitoring showed that no significant sea level changes posing a threat to coastal communities. Some smaller tsunamis were reported, and the U.S. Geological Survey said that the quake was under control now. Dr. Ezaby, tell us more about your opinion regarding the so many earthquakes taking place and shocking number of countries in recent weeks, including Egypt.
Well, we should be very cautious about interpreting several earthquakes occurring within a relatively short period as evidence of one single global seismic event. The Earth is a dynamic geological system, and seismic activity is continuously occurring. Some regions are naturally much more vulnerable because they are located along active tectonic boundaries, particularly the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
The real issue, however, is not simply how many earthquakes occur, it is the level of preparedness and resilience of each country. Egypt can experience earthquakes because of its geographic and tectonic environment, but individual tremors should not automatically become a source of public panic.
Yeah.
The priority should be seismic monitoring, enforcement of construction standards, assessment of critical infrastructure, emergency preparedness, and public awareness.
Of course. Dr. Ezaby, moving to The Guardian, where we read DRC's fast-growing Ebola outbreak spreads to 6th province, and a man dies in Basyola after traveling from Haut Yola. And the head of the WHO says outbreak on track to deadliest ever. The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has spread to a 6th province. Officials made the announcement a day after the head of the World Health Organization said the outbreak was on track to surpass the deadliest in history, which killed at least 11,000 people more than a decade ago. Dr. Ezaby, what are the main reasons behind the fast spread of the virus this time?
Well, the rapid spread of Ebola cannot be attributed to a single factor. Several elements can accelerate transmission, including weak healthcare infrastructure, delayed detection, population movement, difficulty reaching remote communities, insufficient isolation capacity, and the challenges is contact tracing. The geographic characteristics of a Democratic Republic of Congo also create major logistical challenges. Remote communities can be extremely difficult to reach, making early detection and isolation considerably more complicated. In addition, when an epidemic intersects with poverty, displacement, and the humanitarian crisis, controlling transmission becomes much more difficult.
And there is another global healthcare crisis. Do you think that it will be like the COVID-19?
I would be cautious about comparing the current Ebola outbreak directly with COVID-19. Ebola is extremely dangerous because of its high fatality rate, but its transmission dynamics are fundamentally different from those of COVID-19. The global health system has also learned important lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly regarding early surveillance, rapid isolation, contact tracing, international coordination, and emergency preparedness.
Of course, Dr. Ezaby, thank you very much. Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, the international relations expert, thank you for joining us on our program Press Inside. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our edition today. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned for more to come on Night TV International. This was Abir Mitwali.